He laughed at me in front of my whole family. Not a polite laugh, not an accident. He looked right at me, my son-in-law, Marcus, and he said it loud enough for everyone to hear. "Oh, don't worry about Dad. He doesn't really understand how business works anymore." The table went quiet. My daughter looked down at her plate. My grandkids stopped talking, and I just sat there, holding my fork, nodding slowly. I didn't say a word, but inside, something shifted, something cold and clear and patient. Marcus had no idea, not even a hint, that I was the reason he had a job, that the company he bragged about running, he was about to learn something that would change everything. What they didn't know was, if you've ever been written off by someone who needed you more than they knew, hit like and stick around. This one's for you. My name is Walter. I'm 63 years old. I spent 40 years building things. Not fame, not headlines, just real, honest work. I started a small manufacturing firm back when Marcus was still in middle school. Over time, it grew. I didn't advertise it. I didn't need to. When my daughter Sarah married Marcus 6 years ago, I welcomed him. He was confident, driven, a little loud, but I thought, good, she deserves someone with ambition. A few years in, Marcus asked me for help. His consulting business was struggling. He needed a lifeline, a steady contract, a client base, a reason to keep going. I gave it to him quietly. I routed business his way through a holding company. I never told him where it came from. I wanted him to feel the win. I wanted Sarah to be proud of her husband. That was my first mistake. Not the giving, the silence. Because Marcus took that success and decided it was all his own. He grew bold, then careless, then cruel, at least to me. After that Thanksgiving dinner, I drove home alone. I didn't turn on the radio. I just drove through the dark and thought about my father. He was a quiet man too. He used to say that a loud man spends all his energy telling people who he is, and a patient man spends that energy becoming it. I thought about 40 years of early mornings, of payrolls I made when I didn't know how, of employees I kept on when I should have let them go, of a life built on trust and patience and silence. And I thought about Marcus, laughing. It didn't make me angry, not exactly. It made me clear. There is a moment, some of you know this, when you realize that someone has crossed a line they cannot uncross, not because of the words they used, but because of what those words revealed about who they truly are. That night, I made one decision. I didn't call anyone, I didn't vent, I didn't plan anything dramatic. I just decided, no more. No more invisible support. No more quietly routing business his way. No more protecting a man who looked at me and saw nothing worth respecting. January came. I called my attorney, a man named Richard who has handled my affairs for 22 years. I told him I wanted to review every contract connected to the holding company, every one. Richard pulled them all. It took about a week. He called me back and said something simple. "Walter, you can withdraw this support at any time. Marcus has no ownership claim. He never did." I already knew that, but I needed to hear it said out loud, cleanly, by someone who understood the law. I said thank you. I told Richard to hold tight. Months passed. I watched from a distance. Marcus was expanding. He hired staff. He signed a lease on a bigger office. He started talking at family dinners, on social media, about his thriving firm and his incredible growth. He even gave an interview to a local business magazine. I read it twice. Not once did he mention anyone who helped him. Not once. Patient people know how to wait. If this story is hitting close to home, subscribe. There are more stories here built for people who think before they act. If you think Marcus was shocked by the truth, wait until you see what happened when another son-in-law discovered who really owned the company. I watched him get comfortable, and I waited. Patience is not weakness. Patience is preparation in slow motion. In March, I made my move. Quietly. I instructed Richard to begin redirecting the contracts, not all at once, slowly, the way water finds another path, without announcement, without drama. By April, Marcus's biggest client, one that made up nearly half his revenue, had not renewed. He didn't know why. He made calls, he sent emails, he took the contact to lunch. Sarah mentioned it to me one Sunday, worried but keeping it together. Marcus is having a rough quarter. Just business stuff, Dad. You know how it goes. I nodded. I said I was sorry to hear that. And I was. I was sorry it had come to this. But a man who mocks you at his own Thanksgiving table has told you everything you need to know. Marcus was rattled. I could see it at Easter. Quieter, checking his phone. The confidence still there, but thinner now, like paint over rust. By summer, Marcus was in trouble. Real trouble. 3 major contracts gone. Staff let go. The new office, empty desks, quiet phones. He reached out to my daughter in a panic. She came to me, and I, very gently, suggested she ask Marcus to sit down with Richard, to review his business structure, to understand where his foundation actually sat. That meeting happened on a Thursday in July. I wasn't there. I didn't need to be. Richard told me later that Marcus sat across the desk and listened, and as Richard walked through the ownership structure, the holding company, the routed contracts, the silent capital that had fueled the thriving firm, Marcus went pale. The holding company's name? Waltham Enterprises. Walt. My name. Hidden in plain sight. For 6 years. Who controls Waltham Enterprises? Marcus asked. Richard slid one sheet of paper across the desk, and on it was my name. Marcus said nothing. He just stared at that page, a man watching a floor disappear beneath him. Marcus came to my house 2 days later. Alone, no bravado this time. He sat at my kitchen table, the same way my kids used to sit when they were in trouble, and he looked at his hands. He apologized. He said he had no idea. He said he was sorry for Thanksgiving, sorry for all of it. I didn't yell. I didn't list his failures. I poured him a cup of coffee, sat down, and said this, Marcus, I never needed credit. I needed respect. Those aren't the same thing. He nodded slowly. I believed it was real. We worked out a new arrangement, transparent this time. He knew the terms. He knew the source. He had to earn it from there on out, or find another way forward. That part was up to him. My daughter called me that night. She cried a little. She said she had always suspected I was helping. She just hadn't asked. We talked for a long time. That call was worth more than any contract. Marcus laughed at me at that Thanksgiving table because he thought I was invisible. He thought quiet men were weak men. He mistook patience for ignorance and silence for surrender. He was wrong. Here is what I know after 63 years. The most powerful thing a person can do is stay calm when someone is counting on you to lose control. Let them talk. Let them laugh. Let them build on a foundation they don't understand. Because the truth always comes out. Not with drama, not with shouting. It comes out in a lawyer's office on a Thursday in July on one quiet sheet of paper. And that is enough. If this story stayed with you, if you've ever been underestimated by someone you quietly supported, leave a comment below. Tell me, have you ever had to let someone discover the truth on their own? Like this video if patience won out in your life too. Subscribe if you want more stories built for people who think long and act wisely. And if you know someone who needs to hear this one, share it. Sometimes the right story finds the right person at exactly the right time.